Okay. Can y'all hear me? Oh, there it is. You can hear me. That was funny. I'm so sorry about that. What in the whole ham and cheese going on around here? Oh my goodness. How are you? How are you? How are you? How are you? It's Friday night. It's almost 9 o'clock on a Friday night. And look, I really just wanted to come on and just see if anybody would join me tonight. See how your week has been, see how things are going, see how you are enjoying, liking our broadcast, our channel, Iris Inspires TV. Uh, we are here to inspire and uplift and do all those wonderful things that I've been doing for years. It's a lot that's been on my mind as we, I don't know, just look at the world as it is and all the things that are going on in our world, in our communities, in our individual and personal lives. And sometimes I know for me, I can't speak for nobody else. I know for me, there are times when it just feels like there's just a lot on my plate. Even when I move stuff off the plate, I still am working through a lot, feeling a lot, healing a lot. Social media has a tendency to show the good side, because everybody is marketing and trying to connect and network. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But there's a very thin line between that and healthy relationships in our lives, those that we connect with. And I've been thinking about that a lot. I've been thinking about how, even with social media, our lives, our private lives are being invaded, or our voice, the authentic voice, is not always displayed in a way that is interpreted where one can get the heart of a person. And sometimes I wonder if that's what happens with me. And so I just decided to come on this tonight. I am finishing up. I'm at the end of a second semester of my PhD program. And this semester has kicked my woosy toosy. Uh-huh. And with papers and research and studying and reading and writing and refining my writing. I'm noticing areas where I often, even in my communication, sometimes my thought process is ahead of my mouth. And so I will speak faster than I speak slower than my thinking, and I'll cut off a sentence right in mid sentence and go on to the next thought. And sometimes that has the potential to do is leave a person kind of in limbo or not clear about what it is I am communicating or saying. And it can create, it creates what it creates. And so I'm learning I said all that to say I am learning to really slow up and be clear about what my intentions are, what I'm communicating, and how the world sees me and how I see me. How I see me when I look in the mirror. How do you see yourself when you look in the mirror? Can you look in the mirror without fixing yourself? Sometimes it's difficult for me to do that. I ain't gonna even lie. I'm not on the camera right now because I don't want y'all to see how I look. And the truth of the matter is, it is times when I look in the mirror and I just don't, I'm not, I no, no, you know, um, I don't like the way it looks. So, I have to put my lashes on, my makeup on, my eyebrows on, my hair on, hair off, change the hair, whatever it is, the earrings on, and, sometimes necklaces, just whatever it is to lift you up, lift your look up. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, when our whole persona, I am coming to realize when our whole persona is around the perception of feeling good all the time and being good all the time, or uplifting all the time and on the go all the time, and we don't get to see the other side of that, it can be extremely misleading. I started Marriage Gone Divorce, the conversation around marriage gone divorce, as a healing conversation, a space for men and women, women and men, to come and talk about the journey, the pain, the difficulties of divorce. Nobody gets married to get divorced. And so when it happens, for most of us, there's a few, very few, that seem to have healthy divorces in terms of the relationship between the two parties that get divorced. They may go through a period that over time it gets better, but divorce is a death. It's a grieving process, and there is a healing process. Um, and there's a lashing out, there's anger, there's upset, there's disappointment, there's all those feelings, particularly when you are unable or you haven't been able to communicate within the context of the marriage how you feel, how you truly feel. You haven't felt safe to communicate how you feel because of being afraid of being judged or being misunderstood or being punished. And when I say being punished, sometimes we punish our partners and ourselves in our friendships, but with lack of communication. We stop communicating. Um, and that comes for a lot of reasons. We deal with and go through different things, and that happens. That's a part of the journey. Learning not to take everything personal and when it's personal. How do you not take stuff personal when it's personal? Hard to do. Um, but it is doable. It's a process, though. It's a peeling back of self. It's a really looking at self and inventory with self and all those things. The other thing I wanted to come on and talk about was the murder of Lele and Levon in Compton, California, that happened on April the 1st last week. Yeah, it feels like an eternity that happened. We knew that family. Lele was very good friends with my son. It was best of friends. He had just spoken to her the Sunday prior to the murder, and had learned at that point that there was a restraining order placed against Mr. Dante, and I'm not sure that he's been apprehended. So if you have seen him around, um, or can give any kind of information about that, by all means, let the police know. And you can also call anonymously. There is a GoFundMe page for the services that are going to be on May the 8th. And if you go to my social media page, on Facebook, you will see that Lele was 22 years old. She had just turned 22, if I remember correctly. But she was a beautiful, beautiful soul, an artist. She had done several pieces for me. She had done a beautiful rendition. I wanted my mother painted on the back of one of my jackets, and she did that. She was a wonderful artist, and her mother was a beautiful soul as well. Mother 45. She was 22, at a stoplight and gunned down like animals. So pray for that. Continue to pray for that family. Lift that family up. It's hard enough when you lose your loved one because after a health battle, or the possibility of them leaving this life. But it's a whole nother thing when it's a sudden death and it's a murder. It's a brutal situation. And I can't imagine. I'm not going to pretend like I can imagine what that feels like. I have absolutely no idea what that feels like, and I pray to God I would don't have to encounter that on that level. I know what it feels like on the level I am in this relationship, and it's been tough. I think about it, and it brings up a lot of emotions because I know this. I know the story on the other end of it, and the work that myself and my organization, Center of Empowerment, actually dealt with the mother, and so it's a travesty. It's shocking that we yet live in a world um, where we have not, as human beings, learned how to work out our trauma, our pain, our grievances without harming or damaging another human being. Um, it's very, 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 very difficult that in 2025 that we are still yet so fractured in our communities, in our families, in our religious worlds that we gather, in the educational system, in society at large, the politics. It's really sad to know that we, as a human, I don't even like to use the word race, because race indicates the so-called differences, but as humanity, as human beings breathing breath with breath, the family of human beings, we have not been able to make peace with one another enough to find healthier ways to express, release, and heal, if you will. So that's my talk about that. Keep the family in prayer. Um, yeah, it's difficult days, difficult times, and good times. And so I'm holding space for myself. I'm holding space for my loved ones. I'm holding space for the community. I'm holding space for us to heal, for us to be authentic about where we are. We are not machines. We are we're not just, and I don't say just as in minimizing motherhood, but we're not only mother, we're not only wife, we're not only sister, we're not only brother, we're not only husband, we're not only daughter, we're not only son, or we're not only grandparent. We are a human being having an experience, the totality of an experience with a purpose that extends beyond the roles that we have. If, yeah, the individual roles we show up as. And oftentimes we suppress how we feel on the inside to show up in our roles. And it leaves us empty, overwhelmed, exhausted, estranged from self, from God, from the Creator, from our freedom of mind and thinking and being. We exalt things higher than peace of mind. And we do that by continuing on the treadmill of acquiring things at the cost of our peace. And I believe that the scripture says that a cattle on 1,000 hills is the Lord's, and it's his intention to bless us indeed, and that we are heir to the kingdom. We have access to everything in the earth realm, in the heavenly realms, if we allow our character and our relationship, our character and our integrity to arise in us to the standard of belief that manifests wholeness and completeness, that the things that we are seeking to fill the voids on the inside of us. I'm not talking about living a life of not being a, how do I say it? I'm not talking about life of luxury versus non-luxury. I'm not, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking purely that internal peace, the luxury of an internal peace, because there's too many people who have the outside luxury and internal in deprivation, in poverty. And so really finding that balance of internal luxury, internal abundance and overflow, internal opulence that reflects on our in our outside world and manifest in our outside world. You know, really being conscientious of what we let in our ear gate, in our eye gate, in our heart gate, because that is where the issues of life lie, in our heart, in our heart. How our disappointments are settling and resonating on the heart muscle. And not just the heart muscle, but the internal, the emotion, the soul of our being. Are we breathing and allowing healing? What in the whole ham and cheese is going on? What in the whole him? And are we talking a whole lot of yimmy yang, yimmy you to make ourselves feel better? What in the whole ham and cheese freaking fracking flip is going on around here? We must do better. And we have to do better for ourselves so that it reflects and show in our world, in our children, in our existence. Yeah, that's my check-in on this Friday night. I hope it blesses you. I hope it uplifts you. I hope it, give you something to think about, to ponder, to pause in. Yeah. So pray for, and when I say pray, I mean pause, speak life over yourself, life and not death. And when I above and not beneath, meaning you rising above the difficulties and you're able to see and soar like an eagle and and get clarity of direction and the path, the clear path of what to take for you and your family, for your life, for your business, shifting the trajectory of your life and your business. Saying that I am the answer. I'm the answered prayers of my ancestor. What does that really truly mean? I am the answered prayer. I am the answered prayers of my ancestors. My ancestors prayed that I would not be bound, that I would not be tied to careers and to relationships and to situations that were draining and unhealthy, that I would live a life where I had everything that I need and I could bless and help somebody else too. That the world is in a better place than what I received. That I am the answer to my ancestors' prayers. I'm not enslaved in my thinking. I'm not enslaved in my spirit. I'm not confined to a way of being because it has been taught that way to me. But I challenge myself to rise above mediocrity and accept that as okay and barely making it, just to be in a social existence that I feel like I'm a misfit in. We don't have to do that anymore. I'm starting to challenge even the thought of the path that you choose because it's different and it's not the norm. The norm has become abnormal, and what's abnormal is normal. I'm challenging the thought process around um, doing it alone and being it alone. If we have family, and God created family. I understand that families, there's dynamics within families that we are born into, physically born into. It's not healthy, but we've been graced with opportunities to create family. Outside of that we've been. Where I have friends, I was just sharing on social media today. One of my dearly beloveds, La Marie birthday is today, and I consider her not just a friend but a sister. And we don't talk every day. We can have to get off the phone abruptly and don't get to finish a conversation, but we could call one another, and I know she got me, and I got her, and I know that when I'm on her heart for prayer. And she's on my heart for prayer, that she's interceding on my behalf. And I can go to her if I feel like I've said something that maybe has made her feel uncomfortable. Or I thought maybe I could have said it different, and I'll go to her. She go, girl, I wasn't even thinking about it. I like to be challenged in my thought in my thought process and thinking about things differently. I may not have to agree with all of it, but it causes me to think. And I say the same thing, and vice versa. It causes me to pause and think. And there's been many times she has said some things to me as it pertains to dealing with us's, and y'all know who us's are, where I should have listened. I said, girl, I should have listened. So, but family, our family, what is family? Family is, yes, blood. Family, the humanity is our family because of the breath of God in each and every one of us, whether we like it or not. And then it's our blood that distinguishes us. And I believe it is that bloodline that, when we, of course, what you believe as it pertains to Christ, Jesus, and then our bloodline as our lineage. We can find that we have kindred spirits. There it is. That's the word I'm looking for. Kindred spirits, that creates family. And so, that's the other thing that's been on my mind. Whoever hears this, I pray that you think about that. I pray if it's my friends and family, I pray that you know that I love you. that I care. I pray that if I've said or done anything that hurt, harm, made you feel uncomfortable, that you forgive me and know that it has not been from my heart. It may have been from my head. It may have been from my space of pain, my space of overwhelm, my space of insecurity, my space of not feeling enough, and really learning how to get comfortable at this beautiful age that I am, getting comfortable with where I am, and really embracing how people see me, how they view me, but more importantly, how I view myself. And so, with all that said, I pray that you know that as you look in the mirror at yourself, as I looking at in the mirror at myself, that I remember, you remember, we remember that we are divinely created in the image and after the likeness of the creator of all life. And that means that we ain't no junk. That's what that means. That means that we're different, distinctly different. And God, the creator of all life, is so big, bad, and bold, he encompasses us all. Now the thing is, are we embracing the character of the creator? The authority and the power of the creator? Because when we don't recognize who we are, like I mentioned earlier in this conversation about, you know, if it, by the way, subscribe, like, I don't know if anybody's out there in YouTube, in the YouTuberation listening to me, but subscribe and like and share and give me your comments because I can see your comments if you are in here. Hi, let me put hi. Yeah, hi. There we go. Um, Share on stage. Oh, there it is. I'm on my phone, y'all. I've never done this on my phone before. I've always been on the computer. So I'm doing something different, learning myself something. um, what was I saying? Oh, distinctly different. But it's our integrity, um, our being impeccable. One of my favorite, all-time favorite words is impeccable. We trust God when we know that God has been, the creator has been impeccable with the word with us. Now we get into trouble, and we get into, when I say trouble, we get into inner conflict when we're unable to acknowledge and or admit that we are disappointed with how God has shown up, because we have thought that he was going to show up a different way. You need to get my latest book, The Day I Forgave God. It's available on my website, irisinspires.com. Yeah, shamelessly plugging my book, The Day I Forgave God. Um, Part of the trilogy. The first book is You Again, Not This Time, and then the last installment is The Day I Forgave God. You ought to get all three. Available in paperback, hardback, and Kindle. That's right. Oh, so yeah. How are we truly seeing ourselves and our relationship with the Creator? Is it been established based on here we go, based on it says share oh, I did that already. Based on there it is. Based on are we based on how we've been taught, and those that are teaching us from the space of how they've been taught and interpreted. One of the things I noticed, I'm getting my PhD in psychology, the integration of spirituality, consciousness, and spirituality. I said that all backwards, but spirituality is consciousness and integration. I still said it backwards. The point being is, what I've noticed is that the research methods, what is deemed as credible um, is goes through processes that has been defined and developed as critiquing mechanisms, right, that validate whether something is true or false, valid or not, and where the loopholes are or the discrepancies are, so that we can now introduce possible solutions. That's what the research is all about. But the schematics or the layouts that's given for the research is all given by certain mindsets, if you will, and usually they are of a European standard. Um, but I've been looking at it from the standpoint of understanding the traditions of African culture. Um, the Ashanti tribes and Yoruba tribes and the other tribes, the Zulu tribes, and understanding historical um, markers within those communities, social markers that define what's healthy and unhealthy, and how that may have been how it has been disrupted, and how some of the traditions we actually are using, but we use it unaware because we've been told that we ain't using it and we so far from it. If that makes sense to you, specifically as it pertains to marriage in leadership roles, uh, in how what the effects of it of leadership roles in church, in social standing, um, the health of our marriages, how we define them, and is how we defining them in contradiction to what God said. I read a post, and I'm sure the reason why they made the post the way they made it is because they heard a statement that I said, and that is we have to make how are we looking at marriage? And the post said the marriage is what God says that marriage is. But the thing about it is, if we're saying that marriage is what God says it is based on how we've been taught that that's what God says it is that what God says it is? I know. Go ahead and say it. What in the whole am in Jesus she talking about? Oh my gosh. The point being is when we sit still, we pray, we meditate, we speak life over ourselves, and we ask the Creator, we ask God to show us clarity, and we're sincere about it. And so the Word, something we may read, the Bible, other sources, people, places, situations, and things will come in our path and confirm things that we get in our spirit as truth, authentic truth of the Word of God. This speaks to us. The conflict may come in the mind because it's in contradiction of what we may have thought was said by God, but it's settled and peaceful in our spirit, in our soul. So that's where that fine line of being disciplined, and understanding and developing your personal relationship with God, um, and how to proceed and what to do in this life where we are. Yeah, that's that. All righty, I've been talking for about 30 minutes now. Um, I'm going to go ahead and get off on this one and get ready for this final paper I have to write, and I have to have it turned in by midnight Sunday night. If you are a family in the Los Angeles County area, uh, you can call 310-702-7592 or 818-584-2513. If you are in need of groceries, if we have food resources, and if we're out of food resources, we may be able to refer you to other sources. We offer a counseling service. We have a sliding scale But if you don't have the money, we don't turn you away. Okay, we don't turn you away for counseling service. So that's a one-on-one service, that's family service, and we have. I'm not just the only counselor, by the way. We have counselors that have linked up with us, that will provide you the what you need in this journey of healing, mental health, healing, spiritual health, emotional health, soul health, coaches. And so we call them empowerment coaches, inner power purpose coaches, not just life coaches. It's such a buzzword and buzz thing. We're coaches. We're offering you spaces, healthy, safe spaces for healing, for bravery, and authentic healing, healthy, safe spaces for bravery, brave healing. That's what we do for you. That's what Iris Inspires does, and that's what Center of Empowerment does. And if we don't have what you need, we have places we can refer you to. We're not too big to say we can refer you to someplace else. Alrighty? So go to irisinspires.com, check out our website. Don't forget to get your books, your services. Um, Also, I've been on a health and healing journey, as it relates to healing my body of cancer. I said it online, so we'll see who. And so if you want to hear what I'm doing and how I'm walking through this journey and process and how God is manifesting, and I'll go back to the doctors in July and looking for another uh, uh, healthy report in this journey. Um, Tap in. Tap in. Yeah, tap in. Leave your comments. You can email me at iris@irisinspires.com. That again, that's Iris at irisinspire. Let me put that. I can put that in here. Iris. My Zoe's bugging me. She wants me to rub her. Spires.com. I didn't put that right. Iris Inspires.com. Yeah, there we go. That's my email. I'm working this phone here. I'm kind of liking this. Here we go. So we can make that live show. Alrighty. Yeah, that's where you can email me. Iris at irisinspires.com. Um, you can call us at 818-584-2513. Okay. That's, oops. I got 828. It's 818. Correction. 818-584 2513. There we go. All right, lovelies. And of course, I'm on social media as of now. I'm on social media as of now. I don't know how much longer. We're looking at developing our own apps and whatnots to stay in communicate. Oh, and I'm on Patreon. I'm getting ready to start really working that Patreon platform too. So stay in contact with me. If you would like to be interviewed on our, or not interviewed, I don't like to use even the, have a conversation with me, have an open, authentic, real talk, real experience conversation with me. If you are a man or a woman going through a divorce or recently divorced, on the other side, life after divorce, and you want to talk about the journey to and share the journey, leaving our listener with hope and tools of getting through the other side, please email us. We would love to have you on Marriage Gone Divorce. If you are a caregiver, have been a caregiver, and when we say caregiver, we're not just talking about for our sick. Um, and yes, definitely our sick. We had last evening where we had Lori on, and she was sharing as a caregiver for her mother. Currently, you may have been a caregiver in your that who you caregive gave for. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Listen to me. They may have transpired. They may have gone transcended, gone on to the next life. That's my experience. I was a caregiver for my mother and my grandmother. and they moved on. But your experiences, what you have learned through that, supports. So we call it a support group. It supports those that are experiencing that right now. Email us. We would love, call us. We would love to have you on. Grief support. And let me back up. So caregivers includes, you may be a caregiver because it's your profession. We take that for granted. We learned it. We became present with that. Many of us who didn't think of this before came present. Sometime your profession, doctor, a nurse, practitioner, mental health providers, if you're a public service worker, you are a caregiver to the public and you need support. I remember thinking my doctor, um, the doctor from my mother during the last part of her care, I remember thinking he seemed very disconnected. I don't know, it was the doctor, nurse, seemed very disconnected. And I almost got offended by it. And then I realized it hit me. It wasn't that he was disconnected, but there was a certain amount of protection that a certain amount of protection that he had to do to protect himself, because that was the line of work he experienced so much trauma around cancer care. Those that didn't make it, or the pain that they went through. So there was a certain layer of protection or guard that he had around. And when I realized that, I took that whole experience differently in our interaction. As a matter of fact, what happened is it began to have me to talk to the nurses and the doctors differently, and they began to open up a little more. And so I began to see the human side of them a little more. So you may have signed up to be, your profession is as a caregiver to the public. The other is you may be a mother, a parent, a mother or a father, where you are caring for your children. And, and so that's my phone beeping. And so because you're caring for your children, that means that you're at home. You're a caregiver. You may be homeschooling, and homeschooling is not sitting in front of. I tell people all the time, homeschooling is not setting your child at a table in front of a computer all day. Homeschooling is a lot of work when it's done right. That's a caregiver. Um, Also, uh, you may be a caregiver. To maybe a disabled, you have a special needs child, or special needs enhanced need. How about that versus special and enhanced need child, or family member that you care for. So all of these are caregiving situations that we oftentimes don't think of as such, and many of us have multiple roles as caregivers at the same time. And when we don't pause to take the time ourselves, that can lead into some things as well. So, if you want to come and share real talk, real experience, real hope with our listening audience about your experience as a caregiver, as a grief support, that's where I was. Grief support and loss. Grieving is not just death. And I say just as in, that's a lot. Trust and believe. That's a lot. Sometimes in the journey of being a caregiver, you're grieving because you're watching the decline and the change of your loved one. You go through the grieving process, start the loss, the losing of a lifestyle, divorce. There's a grieving and a loss that you go through. Career change, income change, housing change, all of that. There's a grieving and a loss that we go through. Right now, the world, our world, out in the United States of America, we're going through a process that entails a grieving and a loss, because we're in upheaval and uncertainties. And so there is creating anxiety and uncomfortableness and not knowing what to do. That's a journey that we're all experiencing. And we need to have healthy, safe, brave spaces where we can talk about that authentically. Real talk, real experience, real hope. So if you want to join in with that, check out our calendar. Next week we'll be having Natalie Lamb. uh, she will be talking about on next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Natalie Lamb will be coming on and talking about uh, you can't rush grief, babes. You cannot rush it. And yeah, sometimes you get angry. And so how do you handle and deal with your anger? And do you act like you ain't angry because you feel like you're not supposed to be angry? And so you feel guilty because you're angry? We deal with that. We talk about that in Brave Health Spaces, healthy spaces. All right. I've been on 40 minutes now. So with all that said, go to our website, check us out, email us, call us, text us. We're here for you. That's my wet in the whole helmet Jesus going on. Peace and blessings until next time.